Today, we're going to be talking about Doug Ford's new plan, his More Homes Built Sooner plan, Bill 23. What does it mean to you? What's going to be coming to a neighborhood near you? Is it actually possible? These are all questions I wanted to learn about. I did the research. Now we're going to be giving you all the answers. So let's jump right in and get right to it. All right, so Doug Ford just released his new plan. It's called More Houses Built Sooner plan, or Bill 23. It hasn't been passed yet, but given his majority in Parliament, it's probably going to get pushed through. And what does it actually talk about? Well, the main goal of his plan is to increase housing stock by 1.5 million new units here over the next 10 years. That's a very lofty goal, and he's going to be proposing it in 29 different municipalities. I think it's important because what we're really talking about here is we're already short over 1 million different units here in Canada just to satisfy things right now. But with immigration happening to the tune of 400 to 450,000 new immigrants every single year, which I think is awesome, it's important, man. We got to keep up with all these different units that we need. So if we're not doing something now, how are we going to be prepared 10 years from now? We're literally proposing that we're going to increase our population by 1% every single year for X number of years. So we have to do something with housing stock. And the main things to Doug's plan here are going to be cutting down the red tape that's required to get a new property online, as well as reducing the development fees. So if you're not aware of how long it can take to get some of these things approved, or the development charges, we're going to talk about those numbers a little bit more here today. But let's just look at some of the numbers that he's proposing, the 29 different areas that he wants to target. There's some pretty big numbers out here, all right? Toronto, 285,000 new units over 10 years. That's a lot of units. That's the biggest number out there. Other ones here are going to be Mississauga, 120,000. Brampton, 113,000. We've got Ottawa, 151,000. Then we've got some other smaller ones here like Hamilton, 47,000, Oakville, 33,000, Burlington, 29,000. So there's a bunch of other ones here, but we won't share them all today. So those are big numbers. Do I think that this is possible? I'm not sure if they can actually achieve this plan. I do think it is a moonshot of a goal. It's great to have moonshots of goals here because even if they hit half of this plan, it would be a massive improvement over what is currently happening with our housing stock here and the amount of time it takes to get things to the starting line. If people haven't watched the documentary recently, like why is real estate so expensive in Canada, Aaron Gunn has got a really great video here. We'll link it down in the comments here, but it's a 30-minute well-done documentary of just how long it actually takes to get permits pushed through in different cities. Like for example, in Vancouver, very populated city, but if you're waiting for a permit for a development project, you could be waiting 5 to 7 years versus another city in BC, Langford, BC, very progressive mayor, totally different rules, and things get pushed through very quickly. They've really turned around that city. So this is what I think needs to happen. I do believe that this is a leadership type of a problem. We need to have better training from the top down on how to actually implement these goals that Doug Ford has. What can we be doing? Well, we could have a lot more uniform decision-making processes in place to actually make sure that permits get pushed through, it checks all the boxes. The biggest thing that Doug's talking about is actually giving you a bit of a pass when it comes to changing and making amendments to the bylaws before you can actually do a garden suite or a basement suite or converting a duplex into a triplex or whatever type of plex you want to be doing. That would be a good first start, but that's only the beginning of the problem here, okay? Because you have the other side of the story that, people are saying, hey, what about the wetlands? What about building in flood zones? Like what about conservation authorities? And a triplex coming to a neighborhood near you, all right? But I think if they can just simplify the process. When something is too complicated, 1, 2, 3, too many steps, and a confused mind really does nothing. And with a lot of the senior leadership at city halls retiring and that information not getting gifted down to the next generation, there's no wonder that a lot of these things take a lot longer than they should. We need better training, we need better leadership, we need more manpower in municipalities all across the province, really all across Canada, to make sure that the bottleneck is not at City Hall. The bottleneck should actually be on the developer side of like how fast can you get these units going, and that goes into a whole other rabbit hole we could go down with like the expenses of materials and supply chain issues. I know a lot of those things are getting solved and figured out, but let's talk about development fees because they're very important here too. I'll give some specific examples here of how expensive development fees are in the city that I invest in, which is London, Ontario. population of 422,000 according to the 2021 census data. If you want to do a development, bring on a new unit in London, the prices will range anywhere from $10,800 approximately. That's to do like an apartment in a multifamily, and that's outside of the growth district, the growth zone. If you actually want to, it increases more if you're in the growth zone. It's more like 16,000. Then if you want to do a single family detached home, you're into $38,120. That's in London, Ontario. But they want to do a lot of this intensification in the GTA. So let's look at some of Toronto's development numbers because they start to get kind of ridiculous when you look at them. If you want to do a bachelor suite in a high-rise multiplex building, you're looking at $25,470. And then to do a single family detached dwelling, you're looking at almost $94,000. $93,978 to be exact, based on the latest information I could find on the internet here. Development costs are very, very expensive. I know a lot of people are waving their hands up, well, if we don't have these development fees, then it really empties the coffers and we won't be able to keep up with infrastructure and all these other things. They feel that a lot of their development charges, their accounts are actually pretty healthy. They have $6 to $7 billion worth of funds in their accounts, so they feel like they can decrease the development charges. Are they actually gonna wipe them all out? No. Will they maybe cut them in half? I guess we'll find out, right? More information is coming out. And like I said, this bill hasn't even been officially passed yet. That's my rant here, gang. This is the information that you need to know about what's happening with Bill 23. I think it's a very noble plan. I think implementing it is going to be an important part. I actually think that there should be fees and penalties and repercussions if the city doesn't get your project pushed through quickly enough. If it's a very vanilla, very standard conversion or development, just check the boxes, give us the approval. Don't do all these crazy studies and make me jump through all these different hoops. If it's literally a property that you want to convert into a duplex and you got plenty of green space, you got the right frontage, you got no issues with parking, you got lots of square footage in the house, then just push it through and then make sure it's done properly. Now there's a new unit that's actually ready for people to go rent out and help rent to people that need more units, all right? So make it simple, Doug. Make sure that you can actually follow through on this plan. I really do hope that your leadership can make it happen. Drop a comment below about what you're thinking about here. And again, gang, if you like the value that you're getting from the channel, please give us a subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and until the next video, we'll see you on the next one.